For the past 2 days, we've had a conversation about what it means to be a neighbor, to really put those around us in front of ourselves. We saw in Proverbs 21 that a neighbor considers the person. And then in Matthew 25, we spoke about what that looks like to consider the person, to feed those that need food, to clothe those that need clothing, to take care of the sick, to do the things that are kind of in our faces right now in this season. And today we're going to look at a story about how it works in real life. Luke 10:25-27, the story of the Good Samaritan. We kind of know this story. It's kind of a popular children's story in churches, but it's riddled with Old Testament allusions, kind of the things in the Old Testament that would be understood for Jesus's audience. First, we see that this guy's robbed, right? He's robbed and beaten and left for dead on the side of the road. And who walks by? A priest walks by, but doesn't help him. Doesn't help him. This is the professional in the temple, right? This is the clergy, the pastor of the people, if you will. And everyone would expect this guy to help him. This is the religious professional. But he didn't. But then they say, okay, maybe not a pastor. Maybe not a pastor. Maybe a deacon in the church. Maybe a Bible student, a really holy guy in the church, in the religious community, a Levite. They weren't priests, but the Levites were the ones responsible for taking care of the temple. So maybe the Levite, but same thing. He walks by and he doesn't help. But then the one who's not expected to help at all, in fact, the one which normally probably wouldn't even make eye contact with this man, or even himself would have been forced to the other side of the road. The Samaritan. What does it say? This is awesome. What does it say? The Samaritan. When he saw him, what did he have? He had compassion. When he saw him, he had compassion. And I have to say, I struggle with compassion. I do. I wrestle with empathy sometimes. I'm a pastor. I lead people spiritually into these things, and I wrestle with compassion. I very often fall into the snares of the priest and the Levite walking by because of my lack of compassion. But Jesus had compassion. Matthew 9 says he walked around to the cities teaching and preaching the gospels of the kingdom, and it says he had great compassion on them like sheep without a shepherd. The Samaritan did everything in Matthew 25. He fed him, gave him water, clothed him, took care of him, visited him. It was based on the one thing that I think at times we all lack, especially in seasons where the world around us is telling us to look out for ourselves. It's compassion, a deep and righteous compassion for those in need around us. Theological rightness doesn't matter much in these cases. Social appropriateness kind of goes out the window. What's left at the end of our day, for our lives, for our souls, as well as for others' lives and their souls? What's left when everything else goes away? What's left? Did we treat people with compassion? Did we consider them? Did we help them? Were we a good neighbor to them? As you look at your life today, consider your heart seriously. Where is compassion seen in your life? See you tomorrow as we conclude this short devotional series.